Hello everyone. Today I would like to share my experience of taking the final examination in a different format where I had to create and answer my own questions. When I first heard that the final exam would require students to create their own questions, I was quite surprised. Usually, exams consist of answering questions prepared by the lecturer. However, after thinking about it, I found this method interesting because it gave me an opportunity to understand the material more deeply. At first, I felt a little anxious and confused because I had never created my own questions before. At the same time, I also felt challenged because I needed to understand the material well in order to create correct questions and answer. In my opinion, thinking like a lecturer is not easy. I had to think about appropriate context, correct grammar structure, and accurate answers. This experience helped me understand how questions are actually constructed. The biggest challenge was finding real-life experience that matched the types of conditional sentence and reported speech. I had to make sure the situations were realistic and demonstrate the correct use of grammar. When creating the questions, I first recalled personal experience from my daily life. Then I decided which grammar structure matched the context. After that, I created the sentence and checked them carefully to make sure the grammar and answer were correct. This process made me realize that understanding grammar is not only about memorizing rules and forms, it's also about knowing when and how to use grammar correctly in real-life situations. I also found a major difference between doing exercise from textbook and creating contextual questions. When answering textbook exercise, I usually focus on finding the correct answer. However, when creating my own questions, I need to understand the grammar concept more comprehensively so that I can create suitable context, questions, and answer. Based on my understanding of conditional sentence and direct and indirect speech, I will give myself an 8 out of 10. I think I understand the material quite well, but I still sometimes feel uncertain about distinguishing conditional type 2 and type 3 in certain situations. Writing a self-evaluation and reflection was not easy because I had to be honest about my abilities. However, it helped me identify both my strengths and the areas that I still need to improve. I believe reflection is important because it helps students understand their learning process. Through reflections, students can recognize their mistakes, evaluate their progress, and develop better learning strategies for the future. Creating and answering my own contextual questions provided a different learning experience compared to answering questions prepared by a lecturer. When working on lecture math questions, I usually focus on finding the correct answer based on grammar rules that I have learned. However, when I had to create my own questions, I was required to understand grammar concept more deeply. I needed to find real-life situations, determine the appropriate grammar type, and make sure that both the question and answers were grammatically correct. This process made me more actively involved in learning because I was not only memorizing rules but also understanding how they are used in everyday life. In addition, I became more aware that grammar is not merely a set of language rules but also a tool for expressing ideas clearly and accurately in communication. This experience helped me connect theory with practice, making grammar learning more meaningful and memorable. Thank you.